So we're talking about the battle of the big three, that is Ford, Chevy, and Dodge, and their famous V8 engines. So if each of these three engines walked into a bar, the Ford would be the lab coat, always trying to reinvent the wheel. The modular engines, the side valve engines, the EcoBoost, they're the ones that are continually trying to reinvent the wheel. Chevy is sort of the old school Back to the Future. If a Chevy vehicle was a actor, it would be Michael J. Fox. Keep going back in time to 1955 and bringing back the famous small block V8. Now, Dodge, on the other hand, is kind of a jack of all trades. They're sort of that old school Patrick Swayze. They got the pushrod engine, but they got those new school dance moves with the Hemi cylinder heads. So all three engines sort of have their advantages, but let's talk about the core values of each car. The Model T was the original pioneer of a mass-produced vehicle that sold 4 million units in 2023 and 2024. Ford sold over 4 million Model Ts. And then the modern assembly line, which is essentially a conveyor belt system, allowed them to build vehicles like the Thunderbird in only 90 minutes, where before the modern assembly line, that took up over 13 hours. So by the time you got to the Ford Mustang and the Ford Thunderbird, Ford had really perfected manufacturing. That is really what they were known for, where Chevy, when they came out with their first pushrod engine, the small block is really So Ford has started with the side valve engine, which was essentially the first mass-produced V8 engine and the first modern assembly line. Chevy is known mainly for their marketing and branding of all their different brands, 6 brands in total, and the famous small block V8. Now, when all these engines, if you compare them side by side, there's really some specific differences. So the Hemi is sort of the best blend of old school and new school, because you got the old school pushrod engines, but when they redid the Hemi from the Magnum engine, they switched it to an aluminum. The modular engines, the side valve engines, the EcoBoost, they're the ones that are continually trying to reinvent the wheel. Chevy is sort of the old school Back to the Future. If a Chevy vehicle was a actor, it would be Michael J. Fox. Different, very popular brands. And after World War II, this became their sort